I'm Ernest Bower, the Senior Advisor and Director for Southeast Asia, Australia, and New Zealand for the Center for Strategic International Studies, and I'm honored today to be joined by the New Zealand Ambassador, Mike Moore, and Dr. Peter Watson, who's the Chairman of American Friends of Christchurch, among many other things. I wanted to talk to you today a little bit about the U.S. New Zealand relationship and specifically about the recovery efforts to the Christchurch earthquake. Unfortunately, as you know, I had the misfortune to join your colleagues, the Kiwi friends there, as part of the partnership forum, where we actually launched the CSIS report on the future of the U.S. New Zealand relationship. And a day after that, the earthquake hit. Unfortunately, the New Zealand and American delegation got out, thanks to the great support of the New Zealand government and your Air Force in specific, and to the American Embassy. But I think because of the earthquake, we did lose a little bit of the context of what we were trying to do together. Yeah. And I wondered, Ambassador, if you could start and talk a little bit about where that relationship is headed, and maybe how the joint effort to rebuild after Christchurch is part of that.
Well, thanks, Ernie. And for the first time in my political life, I'm in the right place at the right time. Our relationship is extremely good. We've had our differences in the past, but things are very good from a security point of view, from agency point of view. Everyone's cooperating. We're doing all sorts of useful things together. From that side of the house, our guys are in Afghanistan, and we're in places you've never been, shouldn't go, Timor-Leste, Solomons. So all that side of the house is matured and good, as it has been, really, except for one little bump in the road, which we both agreed to walk around with some dignity. And we're working on further things, economic partnership, Trans-Pacific Partnership trade deal we're working very hard on. That's Australia, New Zealand, Chile, Peru, US, Malaysia, Brunei, Singapore, Vietnam. And that looks good as a regional thing. And at every other level, we're drilling down. No one in our region is saying, Yankee, go home. People are wondering where you are. Yankee, please be involved. And my reports are all good. Your report you did was very useful too. We will, from time to time, have disagreements, but so what? That's healthy. But in the main, culturally, there's no problem at all. From people to people, the stuff is great. Yeah. So things are good. Our Minister of Foreign Affairs will be here in a couple of weeks, right. So everything's moving as it should, and we're very pleased about that. Where we can offer something to the process is in the South Pacific. New Zealanders, when we talk of the Pacific, we really mean the South Pacific, and the island chains through there. And at the moment, your Navy, our Navy, cooperating in the South Pacific. We're going and doing, helping the kids out, dental work, health work. In Vanuatu, I think they've gone across to Tonga. Right. This is soft power, this is good, this is the friendly face of both of us. And then we're doing some more staunch things, of course, in other parts of the world. So we think the balance is just about right. There is a problem in our region. What concerns us a little is if you go from Japan to Korea to Taiwan to Southeast Asia to Australia to New Zealand, all used to have America as its biggest customer. Now China is the biggest customer, except for New Zealand. But China just replaced America as number 2 exporter. That's in part because America has not got trade arrangements, and at the moment the administration is encouraging us to work really hard on this, and we are. New Zealand has a free trade agreement with ASEAN, a very clean deal with Australia, and we're the first country, developed country, to have a deal with China, and we report to you that it's going well, every level. But China is China, and we want to see diversification of product placement. We want America and So that's, and there are all sorts of areas where we cooperate. We've just been talking the last few days about our minister's program. Maybe we can put something together on disaster management. And we get to the disaster. You were staunch. I mean, for your viewers, what happened? We had a major earthquake in September, bigger than Haiti. Nobody got hurt. 4:30 in the morning. Then we had 3,000 more shakes. Then we had a big one when you blokes were there. We just got the congressman out 3 hours before,
right.
And then all hell broke loose. And the centre of the city is destroyed. We've had a couple of thousand more shakes since then. I think we're up to 5,500. It's still moving. You need 21 days without a shake to put concrete down. So it's our third biggest city. 70,000 people have left to go to smaller towns around to live. So we've not faced anything like this in our history. We're normally used to giving. Your blokes, search and rescue people were in within hours. Dear friends from around the world came. And then of course our friends in Japan had their big hit.
Right.
Now in the human terms, theirs is so much worse than ours. It wasn't the quake that got them, it was the tsunami. Huh? So we managed to get our people up, rescue people up with equipment that you left or we stole. Anyway, we got the equipment. Your military took us up, yes, and we got a few dogs together, and we were doing our thing with your blokes, and to helping our friends in Japan. But in economic terms, this is, if you say, Katrina's 1% at the moment.
1% of the U.S. economy.
Yeah, the GDP goes. Japan 3 to 4%. They say at the moment, nothing worse happens. This will cost us anything from 6 to 9%. So it is a huge hit.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing I must report is the generosity of ordinary Americans and corporates. It's something we're not used to. We don't know how to handle this. Now we can do this job.
Yeah.
We're going to rebuild. We have all sorts of ways of doing this, but we want to put an American footprint, as we do want to have a memorial for the people who died. Over 180, 20 of them were Japanese, and all our fundraising events we do something for the Japanese as well.
Yes.
So when we rebuild, there will be a heritage thing for America, probably the university and the cathedral, and you should be very proud of what people have done. I've got letters from schools and old Marines sending $50 and corporates writing the big check out. But we can do this, and we will. We're open for business, by the way. The tourism is our major industry. It's open. The airport was open within 3 days. There's the vineyards, the mountains, all that background just seen from
and the World Cup,
Lord of the Rings, and the Rugby World Cup. Is not touched. Don't get on the Rugby World Cup.
Sorry.
It means too much for us.
Anyway,
Peter,
go over to
Peter, who's a New Zealander who's lived here most of his life, we have a debt of honour to you, mate, for putting all this together.
Well, let me just say thank you, Ernie, to be here today with you as well. Let me just say, just to punctuate what the ambassador said, the response from Main Street America to the crisis in Christchurch has been extraordinarily profound and moving. We've set up our website, American Friends of Christchurch .org, and we've got hits from over 25 states, several countries. The response from the street level, from people from all over this country has been
school kids.
It's been unbelievably overwhelming and very, very heartening. And to the ambassador's point, it punctuates the fact that the relationship is very broad-based, and it extends right throughout the nature of the entire relationship.
Now, I should say that Dr. Watson was a member of the National Security Council under the, I read the Bush administration.
Bush 41.
Bush 41 administration. He knows American policy very well, and he is the chairman of American Friends of Christchurch and is leading this effort, very admirably so. But could you also comment on how the relief efforts might fit into where the United States and New Zealand go together, beyond once we rebuild?
In fact, it's a very natural and organic type of relationship, in the sense that, as the ambassador said, We had relief personnel from Los Angeles down there on the scene and other parts of the United States. This is a relationship that goes back to the mid-1800s.
Right.
United States had a consul representative, interestingly enough, in New Zealand before Britain did. The president of the first New Zealand bank was the American consul. This is a very long-standing, deep relationship. And so what we saw in play there was just a continuation of the people-to-people relationship that is so pervasive. We have so many things in common.
Yeah.
The values between the two countries, the objectives, how we see challenges around the world. It's a very rich and a very diverse relationship and a very mature relationship.
Could we end with a word about exactly again how people can participate?
Thank you. I mean, again, we'd like to thank the tremendous amount of support we're getting from Main Street America. Folks, if they'd like to be able to support that, it's all the W's, American Friends of Christchurch.org, and you'll also be able to go online and you'll see the photos of the American responders there.
The Army engineers are still there.
There's so tremendous support, and I want to thank CSIS for the leadership it's shown in these issues and highlighting the points that we have in common. That really is the true story of this whole episode.
Ambassador Moore, Peter Watson, thank you for joining us here today in CSI.
You were staunch.